Hey friends, welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast with your host, Nicole
and Hannah. Come join us for some hopeful conversations about heartfelt entertainment that makes your heart swing.
Hey Hearties, we are back for another episode, and today we will be chatting about Season 9, Episode 10, Never Say Never, with our good friend, Kristen. Welcome back to the podcast, Kristen.
Hey everyone.
We're glad to have you back.
Good to be back.
So the synopsis for episode 10 is Elizabeth and Rosemary don't agree about how best to share unsettling news in the town regarding the coal mines. But that's put behind them when Rosemary hears even more shocking news.
Ooh, yes.
I think we know. Yes.
Yes.
From that promo the previous week, I think we know.
Yes.
So let's just get right into it with the start of the episode. Elizabeth is at home writing in her journal. Her journal entry is, for the past several days, I can't seem to eat or sleep. The recent turn of events involving Lucas and his arrest have left me numb. I know Lucas. He is an honest and honorable man, and most of the people in Hope Valley feel the same. But there are those who still wonder if he could have actually been partnered with Wyman Walden.
Yes.
Also in that scene, we see a shot of a photo of her and Elizabeth and Lucas, which I thought was sweet.
Yeah, I like that too.
The next scene is Nathan, Joseph, and Lucas in the Mountie office, or the jail.
Yeah.
Joseph is bringing Nathan and Lucas breakfast from Fiona. Nathan offers to let Lucas out of jail for breakfast, but he declines. Nathan says, there's no reason for you to have breakfast in there. And then, that's when Lucas takes breakfast from Joseph. And then Nathan says, unless, of course, you want to.
Yeah, being a little stubborn, I guess.
Yeah, I feel bad for Lucas.
I do too.
It's a hard situation.
Yeah, it is.
Bill in his office with Mike. He is still considering resigning as mayor and needs a few days away or a week. What?
I know. I was like,
we can't lose Mike.
No, I know. I felt so sorry for him. I mean, if this would have happened maybe like a couple of episodes after he won the election, I think I would have been a little bit more okay with it because we saw that struggle. But he's made such good progress since then. And so I'm just like, come on, Mike, Hope Valley needs you. Like, please stick around.
Yeah.
I just really don't want him to give up.
Yeah, me too. Hickam tells Bill, as long as I've lived in Hope Valley, helping people is simple. An easy yes. Then I became mayor, and now it seems that because of this rule and that regulation, all I've been doing lately is saying no. I'm not one for giving up, but this job just may not be for me.
No. Poor Mike.
Yeah. And then Bill tells him that if he's gone for more than a couple of weeks, he's going to come find him.
Yes. Good on you, Bill. That's what he needs to hear.
Yes. Lee and Rosemary in the infirmary with Faith and Molly. Rosemary is sick, but at this point, we don't know.
Quote unquote. We don't know.
What's going on?
Yeah. She thinks she's sick.
Yes. She's feeling nauseous, but she doesn't have a fever. Faith tells Rosemary she might have a touch of the stomach bug that's going around. And I love how Rosemary's like, another one?
Yeah. Molly's like, this one's worse.
Yeah. Ugh. I also love Rosemary's line when she says, enough of this shilly-shallying. We have a newspaper to publish. And Lee says, oh, no, we don't. Not today. You are going home and I'm going with you.
Yeah, first of all, I've never heard shilly-shallying before in my life.
I haven't either.
That's such a Rosemary phrase.
Yeah, it is. I love how Lee wanted to take care of her, though. That was really sweet.
Yes. I love that, too. Very supportive. As we know, that's Lee. But, for me this season, Lee has kind of been dropping just a little bit on his likability level. So this kind of boosted him back up. I'm like, okay, this is the Lee that we know and love,
Yes. Rosemary doesn't want their meeting with Gilchrist to be canceled, but Lee says that they can reschedule.
Yes.
And Rosemary promises to rest on the couch at the office.
Yeah.
Also, Molly's line, she says, there's something I miss. Faith, of course, asks her what it is. And Molly says, having someone to take care of me. My husband's been gone so long, I almost can't remember.
That made me so sad.
Yeah.
That was a tearjerker. But
Yeah.
I feel hopeful for Molly. Maybe she'll have someone, a special someone soon.
I hope so. Do we just want to get into the rest of Lee and Rosemary's storyline?
Yes.
For this episode?
Yes. You want to talk about her first impression she made on Arthur?
Yeah.
Or in front of Arthur.
Yeah. For the first impression.
Yes. Poor thing. I felt so sorry for her.
Yeah, I did too. And then Lee starts to say, oh, no, I'm not feeling good.
Yeah, that was funny. It's like, is he having sympathy pains or, sympathy nausea or just the simple, the view of what just happened probably made him a little sick.
Yeah. The next scene of them in their office, Lee is practicing his typing. That, of course, wakes Rosemary up. She's like, what are you doing? Lee canceled their meeting with Gilchrist, and then Rosemary says, actually, I think I canceled.
Yeah. Sorry, Rosie. That's all on you.
Yeah. Faith came by, but she was resting and said she'd come by later. Rosemary decides to walk over and see her now, but she wants to do it alone and not with Lee.
Yeah.
And he offers to walk her over there, which was really sweet.
Yes.
The next scene of them is when they're at home. Lee is giving Rosemary a foot massage.
No.
Which is also really sweet.
Yes, it is.
I don't think we've ever seen that on the show.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I wonder if they pitched that idea. If Kevin and Pascal maybe.
Yeah. Rosemary wants to know what they do at the Valley Voice if Elizabeth hadn't told her about the mine reopening. Lee says they print the story, and if they didn't, then word would trickle out and rumors would spread like a wildfire, creating all kinds of misinformation. Rosemary says, then why are we publishing? Lee says, I don't know, maybe it'd be too impersonal for people to find out that way. And Rosemary says, and I'd be breaking my bond with Elizabeth, my best friend. I gave her my word. Who said he who dares not offend cannot be honest? Lee says, I don't know, but I do know who said I should talk to Joseph before underwriting his and Minnie's loan.
Yes. So he's giving that advice back to her that she gave to him.
Yes.
To go talk to Elizabeth, which in my opinion, I think that's the least that she could do. If she's going to, publish what Elizabeth told her, the least she could do is to give Elizabeth the warning.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it? I mean, how do you feel about Rosemary printing this off the record information? It's hard.
I was going to ask, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I love Rosemary, but I think I'm on Elizabeth's side. It's, to me, if my friend were to do that, if, this whole off the record kind of conversation, it's like, well, how can I trust you? How can I have your trust again that you're not going to spill this information again? And so, yeah, but it's still, it's hard. And I'm glad, of course, we'll get to it, but I'm glad that Rosemary ends up apologizing.
Yeah.
Later on. But yeah, I think I'm on Elizabeth's side. It's not very fair.
Yeah, it's a hard situation. I can see it from both sides. I mean, I can see Rosemary wanting to be as fair as possible with the article, but then I can also see it from Elizabeth's side.
Yeah.
Because the town has already gone through so much with the first mine disaster.
Yeah.
And then she wants to protect Lucas as well.
Right. Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. It is. It's a hard situation. I do like this whole theme of people making hard decisions in this episode. This is not the only tough decision being made in this episode.
Yes. We mentioned that Lee told Rosemary that she did tell him to speak to Joseph before underwriting the loan. So why don't we just talk about that scene with Lee and Joseph for a minute? Lee comes in and they start talking, and Joseph says, "You might be able to understand as a man who wants to be a provider, but I'm not certain that you could ever understand the rest of it. And that's not your fault. I don't want you carrying it for me." And then he apologizes, which I thought was a really nice moment.
Me too. That was a really good moment between them. I mean, I think we all kind of knew that they were going to, make up and be friends again. Yeah. But the fact that they both got to say their side of the story, and then hug it out in the end, I thought that was really good.
Yes, I did too. I loved how Lee said, "You're a good man, Joseph Canfield." And Joseph says, "You're a good friend."
Yes.
Lee
I love that
Coulter.
too. Yeah.
While we're talking about Joseph, let's just talk about his conversation with Rosemary in the cafe.
I'm so glad they brought this back up.
Yes.
Oh, that was so good. And I'm really surprised that he didn't ask Rosemary, about the possibility of her being pregnant.
Yeah.
Because the signs were there, like she had felt kind of tired. She needed to sit down and she was like eating the little cake,
Yeah.
So I was kind of, expecting him to say something about pregnancy in that moment.
Yeah.
But he didn't, which is fine. But yeah, that was a good moment between them. I like that.
It was probably one of my favorite scenes in the episode.
Yeah.
She starts talking about the morning that she first met Joseph when Lee injured his back, and he said, "I'll be praying for your husband." Rosemary says, "I know those weren't just words, and ever since then, from time to time, well, I've been praying that Lee and I might someday have a baby." Joseph says, "Well, I believe that God hears all our prayers and he answers every one of them. Not always the way we want, of course."
Yeah. And I think that's very important that he added that. He does answer our prayers, but it's not always what we are hoping or expecting, It's, what is it saying? God will either answer yes, no, or wait,
Yeah.
But he always answers them. So I thought this was really a really good scene.
Yes, it was. Jumping back to earlier on in the episode when Rosemary is in the infirmary for the second time.
Yes.
That was a great scene.
Yeah.
I love how Rosemary has the stethoscope and she's putting it over her stomach, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of low for her heart, She's kind of, it's like at the rib area.
Rosemary says that she does not feel one bit of nausea, but she does want a big scoop of honey vanilla ice cream.
Those cravings.
Yes. It's definitely the oddest flu I've ever had. She can't make heads or tails on what to think. And Faith says, "I can, I think." "Rosemary, you might be pregnant." Rosemary says, "Sorry, what did you say?" And then I thought it was so cute how Faith,
she put it up to her mouth. Yeah.
And she says, "You might be pregnant." Rosemary says, "Well, that's the funniest thing. With this in, it actually sounded like you said pregnant." And Faith said, "I did."
Yes, she did. The P word.
Yes.
I know. I was so excited, Oh.
Yeah.
I'm with Rosemary on this after all this time.
I know.
She has to lie down. She's like, "I need to lie down."
I know, that line.
I know. So great.
Yes. I wish that she had told Lee first, but then I can see where she's coming from because Lee has always wanted to be a father.
Yeah, she's trying to be sensitive in that area, but I think that's just going to make it so much more special for the audience to see what he does tell him. Do you think it'll be in the finale, or do you think it'll be in this next episode?
I hope it's in the finale, or I hope it's in this episode, but
so we don't have to wait. Yeah.
There was one scene at the beginning when Elizabeth is on her way to see Lucas, and she's in the Valley Voice office with Rosemary, and she's checking on her to see how she's doing, and they're talking, and then Lee comes in and he brings tea for her. I have the line written down. It is really cute. Lee says, I brought you tea with a whisper of lemon and a kiss of honey for my honey. And then he says, I'm sorry you had to hear that. And Elizabeth says, it's all right.
I
So
love
cute.
that. I love that when he turned to Elizabeth, he's like, I'm sorry you had to hear that. It's so sweet. Oh, Lee is so sweet and caring.
Yes, he is.
Love that.
The last scene of Lee and Rosemary is again at their office. He came over there because she didn't answer the phone at home. So he started to worry.
Yeah.
He thinks that she should still be at home resting on the couch and offers to drive her there. We get the I love yous, which were so sweet.
It was sweet. I know, I was kind of thinking in that moment, is she going to say something? Is she going to, is it going to slip out? But she didn't. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But it was still really sweet.
So, Jerome Smith and Arthur Gilchrist arrive in town.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yuck. Boo.
Oof. That arrival of Jerome and Arthur. Very
Mhm.
awkward between Fiona and Arthur.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a bit of a creep. I didn't like that. I was like, stop hitting on Fiona.
Yeah.
Leave her alone.
Yeah, that is creepy. Although I hope he turns out to be a good guy.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, obviously we don't know what went on the first time they met, but still she does not seem to be interested at all. So hopefully he will pick up on that and chill out a little bit.
Yeah, I've said this on the podcast before, but I love Matthew James Dowden, so.
Yeah, he's a really good actor.
Yeah. Fingers crossed he turns out to be a good guy.
Yeah.
Fiona, Jerome, and Arthur in Henry's office. So Jerome and Arthur, they've been there for a little while. Fiona mentions them heading down towards the derricks, but Arthur wants to see the area where the coal mine was.
Yikes.
Ooh. Yeah. And Jerome saying swing by the coal mine. I'm just like, no.
I know. Let's not.
Let's not go there. The meeting in Bill's office with Lucas, Jerome, Arthur, and Fiona. Another awkward interaction between Arthur and Fiona.
Yes.
Fiona introduces Lucas to Arthur and he says, Lucas, Arthur Gilchrist, I've heard lots about you from Fiona. As he puts his hand on her arm and she's like, Miss Miller, please.
Yes.
Arthur's like, of course, no disrespect.
Ugh, really, Arthur? No disrespect. But good for Fiona, like, for standing up,
Yeah.
That's hard to do. And so it's good to see that she took someone's advice.
Yes. Which we'll talk about that scene in a little while.
Yes.
Let's just talk about that double door entrance from Henry Gowan.
I loved that more than anything.
That was awesome. He's like, am I too late? Or I'm not too late, am I?
That was amazing. I was like clapping my hands. I was like, yes, Henry.
Yeah.
That was such a great entrance.
Yes. Only Henry.
Yes.
It's like the perfect timing.
In his like coat, with like the fur collar. Oh, he was like ready to go.
Yeah. I think he even had that coat in season 1, I think. Or one that's similar. Maybe. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Season 1 or season 2.
Yeah.
There are a few scenes after the first part of the meeting with Fiona and Arthur and Lucas and Bill and Jerome and Henry. And then we get the continuation of it later on. Bill comes right out and asks if Jerome and Arthur's intention is to reopen the mine. Arthur says, unfortunately, it's not that simple. Henry says, it is that simple. Arthur says, I'd like to acknowledge that a binding agreement is already in place and what we eventually do. And then Henry interrupts him and says, we live in the shadow of that mine. 47 men died there. Arthur says, and that is why I don't believe this issue is as simple as it's been characterized. As he looks at Jerome.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about these guys.
I don't know either.
I mean, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to say. I want to hope that they're good guys, but they're not giving me a whole lot of evidence that they are.
No, not at all. Also, I thought it was 46 that died because there was one surviving.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that.
Or was it 48, including the one that survived? Like, was it 47 that died, but 48 that were involved?
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
I would have to go back to season 1 and rewatch.
Yeah. Ooh, nice catch.
That just made me wonder.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is another moment that is skipped around a lot. The conversation with Henry and Jerome in his office.
Yeah.
Jerome's interest was never in coal. He believes that oil is the country's future and the world's future. Arthur convinced the others to reap additional benefits by selling the coal to the foundry, which Lyman has a hand in.
I know.
It's all connected.
Ugh. Oh, man.
Jerome says, "What are we doing? Let's conduct business the way we used to, civilized, cordially, across the table and over 2 glasses."
That's pretty good.
Thanks.
Yes, I know. When he said that, I was like, oh, he's trying something. He's going to try something with Gowan. Ooh.
Yeah. The second scene with them, Henry says, "Those tunnels are 1,500 feet deep." Jerome says, "Henry, you need not remind me." Henry says, "I don't care what kind of skilled labor you put in there. You can't put men in there without proper drainage and ventilation." Jerome says, "It's been years since coal was excavated in this area. There has to be better, more efficient ways." Henry says, "Better, but not good enough," which I agree with Henry.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. The third and last scene with them, Jerome says, "We could go to court over Judge Parker's ruling, but his decision has numerous weak points and we'd only be delaying the inevitable. Allow Miss Miller to handle the affairs of the oil company while you and I handle the mine. We'll work together to make sure that working conditions are made safe, and if they can't be, well, then nothing ventured, nothing gained."
Ooh. Which is a line that Fiona said at the beginning of the season to Hickam.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so I thought that was an interesting throwback line. But I can't trust Jerome. I just can't trust him.
I'd probably trust Arthur more than Jerome, but Arthur is still kind of iffy to me as well.
Right. Yeah. And so this kind of puts Gowan in a good spot because we kind of know what's to come with Gowan and the mines reopening. So this puts Gowan in that spot to take control and to do what he needs to do to make sure that the mine, if it does open, that it will close, or that, he can prevent it from reopening.
Yeah.
So this kind of works out for the good, even though right now it seems bad,
Yeah. I thought the scene with Joseph and Arthur at the cafe was really interesting. Him wanting to know.
I did too. This was really the only thing that made me think, okay, Arthur might actually care.
Yeah.
So maybe, but of course, I mean, Joseph does know because he's heard stories, but he wasn't there to see it firsthand.
Yeah.
But of course, I don't think Joseph would lie. I think he would tell him the honest truth about how it has really affected everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that Arthur was actually he wanted to know about it, maybe shows some concern on his part. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I did too. Henry running into Florence and Molly in town. Now, this is the last scene of the episode.
Yeah.
That broke my heart.
I know. I literally cried. I couldn't handle it. If they would have just let him explain.
I know. Henry says, "Molly, Florence, I'm sure you've heard what's going on. I'm sorry." And then the slap.
I know. Oh my. I mean, and here's Florence and Molly trying to go around and teach people how to have etiquette. It's like, excuse me, you're slapping people. Sorry, that's not very good manners. I know you're upset and you're hurt, and that's fine. That's justified, but you can't just go around hitting people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel bad for Florence and Molly and everything they've gone through, but
Yeah.
that didn't give her an excuse to slap him.
Mm-mm. Weird. I mean, it's almost kind of out of Florence's character to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's something Florence would have done season 7, season 8. So it
Mm-mm.
definitely caught me off guard. Like, come on, girl.
Yeah. Yeah. Her line, "You're a hateful man, Henry. How could you let this happen?" Henry's reaction just broke my heart.
Me too. Oh my gosh.
The acting of Martin Cummins,
I'm telling you, it's top notch. Yes.
amazing.
Amazing. Yeah.
But going back to how unhappy Florence is before we go on to the next segment, her reaction when Lucas is in his office with Elizabeth and Jack, and
Yeah.
he is finding out that the mine is reopening. Oh,
Yes. Oh man. My heart breaks for her.
I know.
It is sad.
Yeah, we'll talk about the rest of that scene in a little while
Yes.
because there's something going on. Maybe.
Maybe.
Do we want to talk about Elizabeth and Lucas now since we
Yes.
started the topic?
Yes.
So the first scene we see with Elizabeth regarding Lucas's storyline in this episode is her conversation with Faith in town, and Faith is going to check on Bill before going to see Rosemary. Elizabeth asks if Faith has heard anything from May. Jeffrey is still maintaining the false charges against her.
So frustrating.
What kind of psycho is Jeffrey?
He is a psycho. Oh man, this guy. Big thumbs down.
Go away, Jeffrey.
Uh-huh. Leave May alone.
Although we know that she'll be back for the finale. So
Yes. Woohoo. Can't wait for that.
yeah, that'll be nice to see her again.
Yeah.
Elizabeth says, falsehoods in the court of law. Faith says, Elizabeth, I hope you're aware that none of us question Lucas's innocence. Elizabeth says, I think there are at least a few. Faith says, Nathan and Bill are doing their jobs. Elizabeth says, perhaps, but they know Lucas.
Yeah. Elizabeth is pretty fed up in this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't really blame her. She's trying to stand by her man, which is honorable, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's pretty fed up with everyone.
Yeah. I can understand her wanting to stand up for Lucas, but at the same time, I feel like she might have been a little too harsh in some scenes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like I said, it's understandable.
Yeah.
She's standing up for Lucas.
Yeah.
Faith and Nathan have a conversation in town. At first, they are talking about Bill's health. Faith asks if he actually thinks Lucas is in cahoots with Walden. The fact Faith used the word cahoots.
I know.
Oh my goodness. Nathan is trying to keep an open mind, but mentions that Lucas was into some dirty dealings before he arrived. He wants to know why Lucas didn't come to him and Bill. Faith says, Elizabeth thought that Lucas wanted to do it all himself and that maybe Walden would figure things out if you and Bill were in on the grift. Nathan says, the grift? Listen to you. Faith says, that's the word, isn't it? Lucas wanted to beat Walden at his own game. Besides, he is innocent until proven guilty. Yes, I know.
Yeah, she's over there using those fancy words.
Yeah. What did you think about this scene in Faith in this episode?
You know, I was a little bit confused about the dirty dealings, Lucas's past with dirty dealings. I don't really exactly know what he's referring to with that. Again, I felt like maybe Faith was a little kind of fed up too, kind of like Elizabeth.
Yeah.
You know, she was kind of giving me a vibe of that.
Yeah.
You know, but it's hard to say because Lucas wanting to beat Walden at his own game, like I can understand that, but I can also understand Nathan's point of, you know, why didn't he get me or Bill involved?
Yeah.
You know? But then of course Lucas not wanting them to get involved because he didn't want Walden to pick up on it.
Yeah.
That could have been bad too. But still, it's one of those things. It's like you can see both sides.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation.
Yeah, it is. And I wonder if the writers did that so that way there wasn't really like this person is right, this person is wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, we can see both.
Yeah. In my opinion, I think the situation could have been handled better, but I'm glad that Lucas was set free and exonerated.
Yeah, me too. I mean, this put Nathan in such a hard position. And honestly, I wish that they wouldn't have wrote it this way.
Yeah, because
it's frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. It was really frustrating.
I mean, why couldn't there have been another way so that Nathan could have gotten justice too?
Yeah, exactly. They could have done something, but
yeah.
What
can you do?
I know, not one of my favorite storylines, but maybe once the season is over, it might make sense in the big puzzle of the show, but right now it's frustrating.
Yeah. Lucas and Elizabeth in the jail. I believe this is the first scene with them in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
I actually love this scene, especially when Elizabeth gives Lucas the pocket watch.
I did too. That was sweet.
Yeah.
The inscription.
Our time has come.
Yes. And then the focus on her face.
Uh-huh. Okay. I think she's trying to tell him.
I think so too. And okay, this is my theory. I'm not 100% like, yes, it's exactly what's going to happen. But I don't think it's impossible of maybe Elizabeth initiates the proposal. I mean, this whole season has been about, modern times. They're coming to more modern times. They're about to hit the 20s.
Yeah.
And so that would be, quote unquote, modern if Elizabeth is the one to propose or bring up engagement.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, I'm not like 100% convinced that is going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think it's possible. I don't know. Because, they have to make it different than Jack and Elizabeth proposal,
Yeah.
They have that's a pretty big one.
That's going to be hard to top that.
I know. So, I mean, in my head, I'm like, well, that would make sense as if it was the reversal, if she was the one to do it.
Yeah.
But do you think there's going to be a proposal in this season?
If there's not, I'll be shocked.
Me too. Yeah.
And I think that would disappoint a lot of people that are quote unquote Team Lucas.
Right. Yeah.
I think it would be nice to see because, I mean, how long did it take for Jack and Elizabeth to get engaged?
Yeah.
4 seasons?
I know, right? Yeah. It's like, we're ready. Come on, let's just do this. Don't drag it out any longer.
Yeah. Nathan, Elizabeth, and Lucas in Bill's office. So this is after Bill has gotten the call from the attorney who's representing the man who hit Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to make a deal. And Nathan says, well, of course you told him no. Bill said, I did. Then I found out what he had to offer in exchange for the plea. Nathan says, I don't care, Bill. Elizabeth says, Nathan, would you please just listen? We haven't even heard yet what he's asked. The man who hit Nathan was racing out of town because Walden had hired him to plant the incriminating ledgers in Lucas's office.
Dun, dun, dun.
He got scared and he took off. His testimony would almost certainly assure that Lucas is exonerated. Nathan says, and what does he want in exchange for a hit and run, or tampering with evidence, or leaving the scene of a crime, or almost killing me and my horse? And then Bill says he'd walk free.
I know. I wasn't expecting the walk free. I thought maybe just less jail time or something.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And then
that's what I was hoping for.
And I was like, no.
I know. It's like, this is such an impossible decision. Why?
Oh, why? Somebody like that does not need to walk free.
Oh, I know. It's tough. To put Nathan in this situation. It's so tough.
Yeah.
But, like we said, like we knew that he was going to make the decision. And it makes sense because it's kind of the Hope Valley way. You know, you look out for your neighbor. You put your other people first.
Mm-hmm.
And that's never easy to do for, you know, a lot of people. It's not easy to put others above yourself sometimes. And so I think it's a very honorable, respectable thing that Nathan did.
Yes, I agree. Lucas and Elizabeth in his office, he finds where Wyman hid the ledgers. They were there the whole time, and Lucas didn't even know. Elizabeth thinks Wyman is devious. I have to agree with that.
And a few other choice words.
Yes, that we're not going to say.
Yeah. We'll keep it G.
Yes, we'll keep it PG.
Yeah.
PG. Although I don't normally say those kinds of words. So.
No, I don't either.
But we're thinking it.
We are.
Lucas says he could always have the upper hand on me and blackmail him at any time. Elizabeth is thankful that Lucas's name has been cleared. Lucas says if Nathan decides he doesn't want Bill to accept the plea deal, it might be short-lived. Then we see the line that we saw in the promo the previous week where Elizabeth says, whatever happens, we'll get through it. Lucas says, you're going to come visit me in jail. Elizabeth says every day and twice on Sunday. Then they share a kiss, and Lucas looks at his new pocket watch that he says is spectacular and says it's time for the meeting.
Yes.
I just realized we didn't mention this when we were talking about the mind, but Lucas's conversation with Henry in his office, they're talking about his arrival for the meeting with the double door entrance. And Henry says that he wasn't there sooner because he had to track down Colin McCrary of Scotland. I believe Henry said he had been mining a lot already before he arrived in what was then Coal Valley.
Yeah.
He also says he's as good as any geological engineer. He just never went to school for it. He believes that this mine cannot be reopened without significant risk of collapse and that it could never be made safe no matter what they do.
This is important information that we're getting for the next episode. Yeah. So it's very important that Henry said this.
And we'll talk about that when we get to the preview.
Yes.
Elizabeth's argument with Rosemary.
I know. I hate when they argue.
I know. I do too.
I hate it, but it's much better than the last time they argued. I know. That was hard to watch.
Yeah. I actually have a lot of the dialogue written down. I'll say Elizabeth's lines first and then Rosemary's because at one point they start talking over each other. Yeah. Elizabeth says, you are putting Lucas in a bad light. Well, I don't understand why you're asking my permission. I already told you. I would rather you not print anything about the mine yet. Rosemary, I don't know that this necessarily is the responsible thing to do. Would you please just listen to me?
Ooh.
And then Rosemary says, that is not my intention. I don't like this any more than you do. I'm not asking your permission. I think it is the responsible thing to do for everyone concerned to print tomorrow.
I'm on Elizabeth's side. Side.
It's a hard situation.
It is. I mean, and even Elizabeth says to her, like, you can't just wait to print it till you know all the facts. And I'm like, yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's hard. I can see it from both sides. That conversation with Nathan and Lucas.
Yeah, that was unexpected as well.
Yeah. Well, first we see Nathan is looking inside the window of the soda fountain with his flashlight.
Oh.
I wrote in my notes, missing May, question mark.
Oh.
Which I thought was sweet.
Yeah.
Nathan shares with Lucas how he's reminded why he wants to be a Mountie. Nathan says, I appreciate when it's like this. It's quiet. No one's around. When I'm riding up and down these streets or out by the row houses, I'm reminded why I wanted to be a Mountie in the first place. To protect these people, keep them safe, keep order. It's important, and part of that is holding people accountable for their actions. This plea, to me, it's like trading one wrong for another. And then Lucas says he understands and that he hasn't made up his mind.
Yeah.
And that is a hard decision.
It is a hard decision. I'm glad that
Yeah.
we get that dialogue from Nathan to kind of see what's going on inside of his head.
Yeah, me too.
I can appreciate his honesty and his vulnerability with Lucas, in this moment.
Yeah. Elizabeth's conversation with Rosemary at her home. We didn't talk about part of this when we were talking about Lee and Rosemary, but this scene needs to be mentioned because
Yeah,
it's a big one.
it is a big one.
Talking about the paper in the article on the coal mine reopening, Elizabeth was trying to protect Lucas and wanted to protect the town from troubling news. After speaking with Rosemary and reading the article, she realized they have a right to know. She believes it was a good article and fair and the right thing to do. But Rosemary isn't happy with the way things unfolded. She believes publishing may have been the right thing to do, but it was the wrong way to go about it. She apologizes and that she won't betray her trust like that again, or the newspaper or anything else.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we got to see that moment.
Yeah.
That apology.
Yes.
That was good.
Yeah.
It's kind of like with Lee and Joseph, They
Mhm.
had their they both had their own side to the story, and then they came together and hugged it out.
Yeah.
This conversation like smoothly led into the big reveal.
After Elizabeth and Rosemary make up, Elizabeth starts to put a blanket over Rosemary as she says that she's sorry she's still under the weather, not feeling well. She starts to feel Rosemary's head, and Rosemary pulls her hand away and she says, I don't have a fever. And Elizabeth says, no, you don't. You're actually quite cool. You even have pink cheeks. You look like you're glowing. The look on Elizabeth's face when
the
she
light bulb went off.
I was almost crying in this moment.
I was too, yeah.
She continues by saying, Rosemary, you're going to have a baby, and then they hug.
Oh, I love it. Tears.
Yeah.
Oh, and this instantly, I think I tweeted about it, but this instantly brought me back to Abigail telling Elizabeth she was pregnant. And so I love that. Yes, the same phrase. Like, obviously the names are different, but you're going to have a baby. Like, same phrase. Oh my goodness.
So many similarities. And the blouse Elizabeth was wearing in the scene with Rosemary is the same exact one she was wearing when Abigail told Elizabeth.
No way. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so great. I love that they did that.
Yeah. I said it in last week's recap, but I was like, is that a hint to something?
Right. Yeah.
Nathan stops by Elizabeth's home and informs her that he is advising Bill to take the plea deal because he thinks it's the right thing to do. I loved that Elizabeth said this next thing after she gives him a hug. She says, as a Mountie and all that you stand for, I have an idea of what it took for you to make this decision. Thank you.
Yeah. Which I would kind of wish she would have said this to him sooner.
I do too.
Because he was kind of carrying that burden around. And it's like she needed somebody to just be like, hey, and this is a hard decision for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good moment.
I'm glad that she said that.
Yeah.
The interaction between Jack and Nathan. Excuse me while I go cry.
I know.
A puddle of tears.
Cute. That was so cute.
Mountie Nathan, as he's doing his little salute. And then Nathan salutes back and he's like, Mountie Jack. I don't want anyone else being referred to as Mountie Jack.
Right. Yeah. This is the only exception.
Yes. I actually would love to see Jack become a Mountie.
Oh.
Like his dad.
Cool. That would be cool. Elizabeth would probably not like that very much. She probably wouldn't be, too keen on that in the beginning.
Yeah. It would be sweet, though, to see him follow in his father's footsteps.
Yeah.
Lucas in his office with Elizabeth and Jack. We talked about the last part of this scene regarding the mine a little while ago, but I thought it was so cute how Jack is looking at everything on the shelf. Yeah. He's like, what's this? What's this?
That was perfect. Oh, he's so adorable.
specifically the binoculars and the Russian nesting dolls.
Yes.
He's like, what's this?
Yeah. I think he called it like a statue doll or something.
Yeah. Elizabeth wants to celebrate that night with Lucas because of him being exonerated.
Yeah.
And he stands up and walks behind his desk to pull out the jewelry box, which looks like a ring box.
What?
And it's her birthday present. Do you think it's actually a ring?
Oh my gosh. No,
I don't know.
I don't think it is. You know, we got a promo at the beginning of the season. It wasn't this scene. It's another scene coming up, I think, in the next episode. And so when we saw that, I was like, there's no way they're going to put that in the promo. There's no way we're getting that. So I think I still stand by my prediction of it just being some type of jewelry, earrings, or, you know, his grandmother's necklace or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like they're earrings.
Yeah. We'll find out.
Yeah.
And even the way he pulled him out, you know, it didn't
nonchalantly.
Like, right. Yeah. It's just like a simple little, just like, you know, so.
Yeah.
Just those context clues are making me believe that it wasn't going to be.
Yeah. I don't think they'll show it in a promo.
Right. Yeah.
I think it would be sweet if little Jack was involved.
I know. I'm kind of hoping for that.
That would be different than Jack's.
Totally. Yeah, exactly.
He gets interrupted by the phone ringing with news of the mine. And as he's getting off the phone, Lucas says, I appreciate you letting me know. And then he hangs up the phone and tells Elizabeth that Henry has agreed to manage the mine. She goes on to tell him that it's not his fault. Lucas says, I bear at least some responsibility. Elizabeth says, well, I don't believe that. Lucas mentions that tonight is not a night for celebrating and wants to postpone. Jack trying to make Lucas smile.
I know. There's no way that was scripted. I think little Highland just got up there and started doing cute little things.
So cute.
It was so cute.
Buddy,
the buddies. Oh,
my heart melts.
I know. Oh, there was something that I wrote down.
Okay.
When Lucas and Elizabeth are on the couch talking, this was right before Rosemary.
Oh, yeah. I missed that.
And he talks about
building a treehouse.
Yes, build a treehouse. And very quickly, you know, as Elizabeth is talking, she says something about he'll just want to play with rocks or something like that.
Yeah.
And there was an earlier scene this season. Or there was a scene earlier this season, and I can't remember exactly what episode, sorry Hardies, where there's a book about rocks for little Jack.
It was
it episode 4 or 3?
I think it was 6 when Elizabeth was about to teach Nathan how to drive, and she comes out of the library.
Okay.
5 or 6.
Yeah. And so there's been some theories about little Jack and the mine because of all the mentions of rocks.
Oh.
I know.
Please no, don't let Jack get hurt, please.
I don't think he's gonna get seriously hurt.
No.
And he might not even get hurt at all. But I do think that's something something to think about. Ooh. I think there's probably something going on there with little Jack and the mines and rocks and that hole.
That's a good theory.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing, maybe?
Maybe. We'll see. I hope so. I hope they kind of go somewhere with that.
Yeah. Well, I hope they don't go too far. Like
right.
They did with Rosaline in the mine.
Yeah, that would not be good.
Although that's one of the best episodes of the series.
Agree. Fiona and Nathan's talk.
Yes, we didn't get to that. Yeah, we need to talk about that.
She grabs his gooey cake, and that was so cute. I loved that moment.
Yes, and the fact
I'm nervous.
The fact they're a couple off screen makes it even better.
Oh, totally. That was a cute moment. Yes. And he gave her such good advice. That was so sweet.
He did. We love Kevla.
Yes.
Team Kevla. There was one more thing I wanted to mention briefly. Bill seems to be doing better, but at the same time, he doesn't.
I know. I was confused because at first his blood pressure was good. So I was like, oh, that's a good sign. Like he's getting better.
That scene, I love Faith's comment. It was so fun.
Yes.
Faith says 115/75. You know, I have to say that is excellent for someone your what?
Yeah, Faith, continue on. Finish that sentence.
Oh my goodness. And then the second scene that we get with them, she comes to check on him and finds him asleep at his desk. She thinks that he's overworking. She spoke with Carson about Bill's symptoms. And Bill says, you had no right to do that. Faith says, I'm worried about you. Bill says, but I'm not. If you don't mind, Faith, I have work to do. And then Faith tells him that he needs some rest.
I don't need anything happening to Bill.
No, please no.
Bill, get your rest. Go get your x-ray. Let's figure out what's going on with you. I need you better.
We don't want anything to happen to Bill.
No.
We can't lose Bill on the show too.
I know. We need his little grumpy attitude. He's a lot of the comic relief in the show, in my opinion.
Yes.
He makes me laugh a lot. We need him.
Yes, we love Jack Wagner.
Yes.
I think that wraps up everything in this episode.
Yeah, I think that's on my notes too.
Let's just talk about the preview for next week before we wrap up.
Boom.
We see the clip of Lucas and Elizabeth in his office. She says, on my birthday, I thought you were going to propose. She's wearing Lucas's jacket. Then she goes on to say, I thought maybe you changed your mind about us. And then he says, happy belated birthday.
And there's that ring box again.
The earring box.
There you go.
The voiceover says only one episode left before the season finale.
Boom. And
it shows a clip of Faith and Nathan in the pharmacy and one of Minnie and Angela returning home.
Yes, finally. I'm so glad they'll be back.
Yes, me too. Here's a clip of Fiona and Arthur. Fiona says, you are sure determined to reopen the mine. And then it jumps to Fiona, Henry, Arthur, Jerome, and another man. I'm guessing that's Colin.
Yeah, me too.
Henry says, how much did he pay you in exchange for the lives that will be lost here?
Oof. And he's real mad.
As he throws the papers across the hood of the car.
Yeah. Ooh, boy.
There's a clip of Jerome, Arthur, and Fiona. And we hear Jerome say, I was counting on Henry being the same Henry. I was wrong. And there's a shot of the mine and Henry standing outside of it as it's raining.
Man, it's going to be a good one.
Then we hear the big boom.
Yes.
With a clip of Elizabeth, Jack, and Rosemary. And Jack saying, boom! And Elizabeth saying, that sounded like a big one. Lucas in his office. And he looks up as he's sitting at his desk. Faith and Molly in the infirmary. And then Elizabeth looking out the window while it's raining.
Yeah. Oh, intense.
Any predictions?
Predictions is Gowan's gonna go in there and prove he's gonna take over. He's gonna prove that the mine is unsafe, and he's gonna make it to where there's no chance ever it'll be reopened. He's gonna be the hero.
Yeah, I think he's gonna blow up the mine.
Yeah, I think so too.
And it's interesting because in those clips when we hear the boom, we don't see Henry.
Right, yeah. I'm so excited.
It's getting interesting.
Yes.
It's all going down.
Oh, yeah.
That mine does not need to be reopened.
No. Let's just settle this once and for all.
Yeah.
Let's get the closure.
Yeah. Although I hope that nothing happens to Henry in the process.
Right. Yeah, me either.
Please no injuries or punishment for blowing up the mine.
Right. Let him come out of it unscathed. We need a happy, healthy Henry.
Yes.
Because I don't think his blood pressure could take it.
No. I can't believe the season's almost over.
I know. It went by pretty
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, and hopefully, we'll get that renewal for season 10.
Yes. All in for season 10.
For season 10.
Yes. Well, thank you so much again for joining us. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll have to have you back again, of course.
Yes, that'd be great.
All right, Hearties. That was our recap of season 9, episode 10, Never Say Never. We will be back next week to chat about the explosive episode 11, Smoke on the Water. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed, and we will see you next week. We love y'all. Bye.